I love the way the First Gen Lounge makes me feel.
Because it creates a space where I belong.
Where we're able to create community.
The fact that it's a community.
It's a safe place.
It also gives me a place to understand different perspectives.
The stories of these individuals prescribe transformational perspective.
I receive encouragement, enlightenment, empowerment.
And also serve as a catalyst to just keep going.
Where we're able to be our true selves.
I'm allowed to be an unapologetic First Gen.
And above all else, tell our story.
And every episode is unique.
I love it.
I'm your host, Dr. Eve, and I'd like to welcome you to the First Gen Lounge. So it is September 2020, and we are celebrating 2 years of the First Gen Lounge. My goodness. So I told you that I had some surprises for you this month, and this is one of them. It's a reunion. Oh my goodness, it's a reunion. I have some really incredible people on the line. Yes, people, not just one, more than one. And I am going to let them tell you who they are, you know, since they coming back and like really what they're up to these days. So I'm not going to call anybody out. Just take it away.
Hello. Thank you for having me, Eve. This is Arnanda Altima. It is a pleasure to be back. I loved my first encounter with you, so I couldn't stay away. I had to come back. But just to give you a little reminder for those who are listening in, I am the founder of First Gen Rise, which is a platform for first generation students, graduates, and professionals who want to learn how to navigate the process of academia and professionalism in a quicker way, in a quicker fashion, and get to the top so that they can achieve their goals and be proud of themselves, as well as make their family proud.
Welcome back. Hey. All right, who's next?
Thank you for having me. My name is Janet Reyes, and I am a speech-language pathologist. I was in episode 62, I believe, called 7 Generations Ahead. And at the time, I was an SLP grad student. Now I am a work professional as speech-language pathologist at Inglewood Unified School District.
Congrats to you, and yeah, welcome back. All right, who next?
Hey, Eve. Thank you again for having me. I'm honored to be on this show again. Such a good time. So my name is Shanice Montgomery, and I serve as an event planner at my alma mater, the University of Southern Mississippi. And I'm also the owner of Montgomery Weddings and Events, where I help couples plan untraditional weddings. And I really enjoy that. And I recently launched a podcast with one of my good friends, Dominique Brown, The Pink Elephant Show.
Oh, so y'all have been up to a whole bunch, a whole lot since the last time we talked. So what has been, and anybody can just take this, what has been the most significant thing that has happened in your life since we last talked?
I would have to say that for me, just realizing how big of an impact I had and social media can have. Like, as I mentioned to you earlier, I found my current job on social media. They found me. But knowing the amount of people that I've been able to influence and mentor, I've somehow become a mentor without even trying to. People come to me daily. I will be doing a keynote presentation on nurturing culture enrichment. And I don't know how this happened. I just am very passionate about it, and people have reached out. So knowing that I'm actually making a difference and an impact, that has been a huge impact, as well as I spoke in your previous episode on 7 generations ahead, and my goal is to help support not only my family, but the rest of the children and people that I work with, thinking about the future. And I'm proud that my niece, who was in foster care, has had me as a mentor and to be able to reach out to. And she is now enrolled in getting her bachelor's degree at Cal State University Long Beach. My other niece, who went straight from high school to the university, and being able to be there for them, where my siblings and my cousins, they haven't been able to support them. So I've been their go-to person, like, what is the syllabus? How do I do this? Like, all of these little things that we don't have as first gen that I had to learn to navigate myself. And now I can provide a roadmap for my family and other people, and knowing that it's helping and they don't have to navigate or struggle as much as I did. So that has been a major life impact this topic.
To piggyback off what Janet said, you kind of touched on like the power of social media, especially if you use it as a tool. And so I'll say when I did my episode with you, maybe that was like a year ago, I was talking about, I think I'm going to launch my own wedding planning business soon. And I think I've done like a course, and I started doing like a weekly wedding tip Wednesday. And so I was consistent with that for maybe a year, if not more. And that was how I started to build my first clients for my wedding business. It was through showing up every week and like establishing myself as an expert in the field and showing up consistently, even when I didn't feel like it. But I think by doing that and using social media, that was something free. I had to do it consistently. And so just seeing the power of consistency really kind of shifted something in me internally to say, like, you know, if you keep doing it, eventually, even if it feels like nobody's looking at it, nobody cares, but eventually people start to notice.
Agreed. Everything that has just been said. So I think what happens a lot when you are a first gen, you have like imposter syndrome. And what was the biggest moment in this journey? It was when, you know, Johns Hopkins had tapped me to be like their final guest speaker for their first gen program. They have a first gen program for their incoming freshman students to really learn from various people on how to excel at Johns Hopkins and to excel in their first year of college. And so my book, which I didn't mention, is called The Rise of a First Gen. It journeys my life as being a first gen at various points. And, you know, and at the same time, you know, they bought the book for their students, which was amazing. And then they also had me speak, and it was just an amazing moment because I've never had like a Q&A in person. And so normally I'll take a few questions, but it was like more of extended time because, you know, my line sisters also went to Johns Hopkins. So I wanted to extend a courtesy to them to that university. And it was really crazy because they asked the question about what are the stories that are not in the book that are also produced who you are, that you want to share so that we can also feel that we're not alone in this process. And it was just really an awakening moment because I was very selective about what stories I was comfortable with sharing, but it made me realize that there's other parts that people want to know about. And I also need to show up in those very extreme, sensitive ways so that people who are, you know, trying to learn from me can actually learn from me in a way that would be beneficial to them. So it was a springboard to teach me how to articulate those moments and not crumble, because I did cry on the spot sharing a very tough moment in my childhood. So it was just learning how to package it in a way that still got the message across. So that was a moment that has changed how I speak and approach it.
What I absolutely love about everything you all just said, not sure if you all noticed it, but how you talk about being consistent and showing up in spaces and opportunities actually finding you, which I think is a very necessary and powerful message for those of us who are first gen, especially as we're trying to navigate careers and businesses and podcasts and travel and all kinds of things. What all of you say, that I just kept showing up. You knew you needed to, even when you didn't feel like doing it, even when you didn't know when it was going to, lead to something different, that you've all also had really amazing opportunities to just pop up. And you're like, what? Me? And so I love that, because I think that's a quality about us as first gens that I don't think we give ourselves a pat on the back for, or that we acknowledge enough, that we just keep showing up and things happen. So for those of you who are tuned in and hearing them, hear what they all said. They just keep showing up. So that's a charge for you too, to just keep showing up, because you may get that speaking engagement. You may start that, wedding business. You may get that job and not even realize somebody was looking at you. So it's so cool. And I love it. I love it all. And it's so exciting to just hear how all of you had just a thought, something was a mere thought, and now you all arrived in different ways. And so that's really, I'm feeling quite empowered myself right now. Like, man, look at my girls. It is just really, it's beautiful. It's really cool. And by the way, you know, there's all women of color on this call right now. So I think that says a lot. I don't even know how many degrees there are between the four of us right now, but enough to last a lifetime. So we'll take that, right? We'll take that. So even just thinking about, you know, some of the success that you've had, what have been some of the biggest challenges that you've had thus far, or since, you know, we talked last, and how have you been able to navigate those challenges as well?
I think for me, it has been challenging, just my mere appearance. And like I mentioned previously, I am in one of the whitest professions and very cookie cutter white women, what you would traditional. And I'm not trying to say that there's anything wrong, but I mean, I get looked at and called out for professionalism. I don't have my nails now, but I usually have like acrylic nails, and like my hair is different colors, and I have tattoos. Being told constantly, you're a great clinician and all the children love you, but you should really be careful because there are some parents who may or may not. And I have yet to encounter a parent who has any problem with my appearance. I dress professionally. I may have colored hair, but I don't fit the mold to what a speech language pathologist or professional, in their opinion, in academia. I've had a professor tell me, like, wave his hand in my face because you're not applying to art school. You know, when I asked for a letter of recommendation, or, you know, being called into a professor's office and saying, you are one of the most talented clinicians, but people are going to talk and you should be careful with X, Y, and Z, or the way you I've been told to be careful how I present myself on social media because I was going into the profession looking for a career. And ironically, they found me on my social media, which I would love to tell my professor who called me into the office to be careful with what I say on social media and how I present myself. So, and as first gen, having imposter syndrome already and not thinking you're good enough and being told these things was very challenging. I just had to keep reminding myself, the parents love me, the students love me, the clients love it, and I see the rapport I build with them is great. So reminding myself to continue to be myself, and the right people will find me.
That was good. Thanks for sharing that, Janet. I don't know you, but you're awesome. I love your hair. As soon as I saw it, I was like, oh, it's a vibe. I love it.
Thank you.
Yeah. That's crazy, though, that people try to conform you to what they deem as society standard. That was something I had to overcome last year. Like, I've been natural. You can see my puff right now. Like, I've been natural ever since 2015, but I always felt like I needed to, like, flat iron my hair and wear a full face of makeup. And I was like, why am I doing this? Like, I really felt like I could not leave the house without doing up my makeup and all these things because I was social media. It can really, like, it can be like positive or negative. And we've all been down that road where you start to nitpick and compare, and that whole game, it can get really ugly really quick. And I was just like, no, I'm beautiful just the way I am. You know, I'm wonderfully and fearfully made. And I had to, like, tell those things, and you have to encourage yourself. And I posted a picture on social media last year, and I was like, fresh face, natural hair. And I was like, this is me. This is how God made me. And I'm happy to be me. And now it was, like, so freeing to go to work with my natural hair, with just fresh face, just putting on lotion. I was like, oh my God, I'm free. Like, I don't have to spend, like, you know, like an hour primping, and, like, my hair is meant to be curly. So I was literally killing my hair. My natural curls were, like, shot because it was like, no, girl, I'm supposed to be, like, standing big and proud. You know, that's how it's made. And so I do think it's freedom in that. And I recently just discovered that freedom, like, last year.
That is awesome, ladies. And I think society does literally teach us how not to be ourselves. And it is, a reminder of other people who are not permitted to be themselves. They just want to, since they can't be free, you can't be free. That's how I feel like is happening on a consistent basis. And, fighting against that is a priority for me. Like, when I used to practice law, I definitely came in with straight hair, and I did wear makeup. But my jewelry, my accessories were going to be something else different. I was going to have some earrings that had some African whatever, or some spikes, or whatever. I was going to have rings or a necklace. But I will wear the suits. I will wear the heels. I will straighten the hair. But you are going to notice the red lips, the purple lips, or whatever. Because it's just not fair. It's not fair. How am I going to look different in there? How are my clients going to know that are Nande, other than the name is unique, that I'm unique and I'm here to represent you, that's going to give you the impression that I am unique to everyone else that's in the room. So for me, I have always tried to rebel against some way, somehow, and accessories is my thing. But I do want to kind of tap into just the other part of your question with challenges. This year, or even maybe it spilled over from the end of last year to this year, I have been constantly battling people's insecurities. I think what has been my biggest thing is I'm younger than the people in my room. I'm sometimes, degrees are one thing, but so I might be a little bit more advanced in the process of things because again, that's what my platform is to advance at a quicker pace so that you can have more experience, so that you can have more opportunities and you can gain skill sets that will take you to your end goal at a quicker time. So I have been able to navigate that process. And so when I feel that I am entitled for more than the seat at the table, to lead the table, right? To lead the effort at the table, I have then been pushed back by people who don't see me in that role. And it is definitely been a surprise in the tone, in the usage of how people speak to you when, you hired me to do this, right? Or you appointed me or elected me to do this, but yet you feel that the pace that I want to move in doesn't, align with yours. And so I've had to train people in how to understand what my goals are, understand how I see the goals of what I've been assigned to do, and help them along the way. And I've had big rewards in that. And I had to learn how to remind myself it was not personal. It was just their own insecurities, not recognizing that the person of color in the room is quickly getting the attention of everyone else that they normally get the attention from, and then doing a superb job at what they're doing. And I need to figure out how to leverage it rather than diminish it. So it's been a learning process. I have definitely learned that, because I'm an encourager. I think that everyone has talents in the room. I like to sit back and listen and take in everything. But even Janet and Shanice, I feel like, I'm learning. And then I will tap in when I need to. I will get up when I need to. And when I do get up, I've calculated it and know what my strength is to execute. So either you're going to help me or we're going to have a conversation. So it's definitely been an eye-opening situation in how to, cry, because I had to cry, because it's definitely an elevated sense of dismissal, and then snap back into it and know that I am wonderfully, lovely made, and I can tap into that beauty and disregard everyone else. So anyway.
So for all of you, just really curious to know then, what do you say to the young woman, especially the young man, young woman? I mean, both the same, but I know the women's thing is something else too, because again, the hair color, how we show up, sometimes the expectation for women to be more groomed or well kept. And as y'all are talking, I'm thinking, yeah, I remember the days when, before I had my own, being insecure about how I dress, or even being criticized about how I dressed, and struggling to find a profession that aligned with what I believed about how I showed up. And so it wasn't until doing my own thing and being on my own that I was like, this works. Because beyond how I'm able to dress, I mean, y'all typically see me in jeans and a tee, because every day I'm doing work. It doesn't take away from my brilliance. It doesn't take away from my abilities, but people see a suit as more capable than jeans and a t-shirt. Well, a lot of times the people around here with jeans and a t-shirt and driving a Camry got all the money. So, so just for what it's worth. But what do you say to that person who's trying to navigate that right now? What are some things that they can just do, internally to be able to just show up and be who they are and be unapologetic about it? Because that's the big part, being unapologetic. And what do they do if it's just not working where they are?
This sounds very cliche, but something I do, I literally, I will look at myself in the mirror and talk to myself and tell myself what I am and denounce all the things that I'm not, and just basically build myself up and just remember who I am and whose I am and the things that I know I can do. Just you gotta boost yourself up, gas your own self up. Sometimes you gotta do that. So that literally helped me just go from a negative, just thinking about myself negative, I can never do this, I could never do that, and just being no, yes I can, and even girl, you look good today, all that, just that helps me.
It's not cliche. I did the same thing. I have, sounds corny, I have Post-it notes everywhere, all over my mirror. I'll say a good thing, and I almost retrain my brain to remind myself not to let that bother me. You have to kind of retrain. As a speech language pathologist, I know and I understand about neural networks and connections, and knowing that how you talk to yourself, what you think, what you say to yourself matters. As I'm learning all of these strategies that I'm training, other children and adults with cognitive impairments and retraining yourself, I had to work on it myself and work on myself, Post-it notes. I would do positive affirmations every night, and you are just I am beautiful, I am great, I'm smart, I'm going to show them my skill, and I'm this person. I'm going to show up and let my work ethic do the work. Another thing that I share with the children that I work with is, and a friend shared this with me when I told her an experience. She's I just tell myself one positive thing, one thing I like about myself every day, starting with that. And it sounds cliche, but it works, surrounding myself by people that don't care, that know how great I am. And just surround yourself by positive people, and don't let, there are always going to be people saying, there's always going to be some haters. That means you're doing something right. Yeah, don't let it get to you.
Yes, I totally believe in positive affirmations and writing things on Post-it notes. That's what I did when I was, looking for something or looking for encouragement. What I will say is I do agree with Janet's advice about the leaning on people that are your board of directors. And so I am very close to my older brother. He has definitely given me the support I've needed for countless decisions that I've made. And he is my hype man. And he's learned how to do that ever since I was young. So he's, I'm hoping that he trains my future husband how to do it. But I just know for sure he's pumped me up even when I've made mistakes, and lets me know the one thing I've done right in that moment. And so, but what I want to share is I host, I'm definitely not on podcast level like Shanice and Eve there, but I do sometimes do summer interview series with students and professionals, just to have other people hear the stories that of us first gens like we're doing here today. And so this summer with the COVID-19, I wanted some people to hear what was happening and how they could really feel encouraged in that moment. And I invited a social worker onto my Instagram Live, and she gave a wonderful suggestion of having a brag bag. How you have the swag bag, you have all this other stuff. And so I did not coin that term. Maybe she did, but I'm using it, and I'm telling people that it's a great idea to have a brag bag just handy, because you're going to need something to remind you of how awesome and phenomenal and powerful and magical and mystical. This is my Lovecraft Country kind of love right now. So, but all that to say is that the brag bag is essential, because, it's just something you need to dip into when you want to be reminded of your amazing self. And so it can grow, you know. It definitely doesn't have to be fully, all the items don't have to be in the grab bag just yet, or brag bag just yet, but you'll add to it as you start to get more things. But I think that's just a great way to have something ready when you need it.
I should have had my notepad. I should have taken notes, but I have the recording, so I'm good. This is good. This is all good. This is all good. And then let me say this to y'all too. What I find even more fascinating, because y'all know I be looking for the themes, right? Is that you all are shifting culture everywhere y'all are. Because what I've also heard each of you say is that at the end of the day, you're showing up as you are, how you are, also recognizing that it's okay because other people see you, they need you, but you're going to do what you do because you know you're capable of doing whatever job you're in, you can do that. So how you're showing up, how you're loving on yourselves, and how you're just like, look, I'm here. It is what it is. I am here for it. Okay. I'm here for it, ladies, because we need to hear this more, especially as first gens, right? To be affirmed in who we are, because as Janet said earlier, that imposter syndrome will have you out here acting a whole fool. Like, I can't do it. I'm not going to do it. What do I do? Okay, I shouldn't do this. Well, let me call 10 people to make sure that they tell me I can do it before I do it. And at some point, you just have to be like, it is what it is. So even how you show up, you know, and how you love on yourselves and how you get loved by your community of people that matter. Like, I'm here for all of that. Like, yes, ma'am. And yes, ma'am. And yes, ma'am. So I'm really loving this. But I told you I wasn't going to keep you all night. Of course, all night, all day, because look, we're literally across the country that we're talking, and this is so fun. We got California here, DMV here, Mississippi here, North Carolina here. So this is what it means to just really bring people together, right? And this is the communities that we're really kicking it tonight. So I love all that. So my last question for y'all. Y'all know what the question is, don't you? Y'all should know what this question is. And that is that one piece of advice that you could leave us with. Look, since like, you know, so I know you had your first piece of advice. So what advice now would you leave us with to carry with us, you know, for the rest of our lives, or something to just hold on to?
So my advice would be to invest in yourself. I think it's so important to buy the course that you need, attend the webinar that you want to go and listen to, take the trip when we are out of any shutdown mode, and really attend the conference, meet people. I think, you know, during this time right now, networking has been challenging. So, you know, secretly, I'm loving just talking to everyone on here because I don't get to do what I've been trained to do and what comes natural to me, which is to talk and meet and learn from others visibly, not just through a screen. And so for me, I honestly think investing in things that give me mental strength, give me purpose, and give me just joy has been something that I have continued to do. And I think that is something that is essential as a first gen because we neglect ourselves a lot. And so for me, I think, you know, spending time to invest in you and identifying what is the things that you want to invest in, planning, prepping, and executing that is important because you're only as good as you are to yourself. And so I think it's just so critical to not just rest. And I think that's different. I want to be clear. Don't just relax and just sit. Just invest in the things that move you. And I think that's just important to do.
And what's next for you?
And what's next for me is I cannot do a podcast. I'm just going to be real honest there. You know,
but you got me doing it though, okay?
Because I think you're such a great conversationalist. You pull out the emotion and the feelings of people that need to get the genuineness of a story. And I think that's just an essential role or essential like skill and temperament that you have. And I just love it. And I think that that's what has kept you rolling. My commitments don't allow me to have a podcast. What my commitments do allow me to have is a course. And I do want to do a course. I think what has been a part of my life has been politics. And I've been very much branching out that part of my life and wanting it to share with first gens. There are a lot of first time elected officials, first time anything. And I want to be able to give a course to people to get their mind ready, because this is very challenging being in politics and being the first in line to do so, because you're always in constant phase of confusion. So that's what I'm doing, just to really figure out how to develop what I've been able to do in the world of politics and government relations, public policy, into a course that will help those who might have a desire or those who just want to learn how to be a better citizen.
And Janet, what's next for you?
I think I'm going to go with, I think I mentioned it already, and what my biggest life lesson has been is to continue to be myself and show up as myself. As you mentioned, be yourself, because you don't know who's watching, and you need to show that little girl, that little boy, that person, oh, I look like that person. I can do that too if that's what I want to do. Don't let people tell you or how you should be and what you should be. Be yourself, do the work, show up, and the rest will come.
And what's next for you?
What's next for me? I'm very interested in continuing to mentor and advocate for students, doing more public speaking, which makes me nervous, but I'm doing it anyway. Because I realize that every time I do it, people are very grateful and want to hear more about it. And I would like to continue to do that, mentor. Hopefully next year, I will have a podcast. That's the goal, is to have one next year. So I will keep you posted.
I love what both of you ladies said, and I totally agree with both of you. And the last one was almost mine, but just to be, I guess, to shift it a little bit more, it's something that I recently did was I invested in myself, and I was able to get a coach specifically in something that I was pursuing, which was podcasting, which is so new to me. I had no idea. It was a huge learning curve. There's so many little parts to it. And Eve, she has been an amazing mentor, an amazing podcast coach. Dominique and I have learned so much, and we would not have been able to launch our podcast as quickly as we did and as stable as we did if we had not worked with her. So I think, I mean, it doesn't have to be a podcast. It can literally be whatever, if it's a professional career or if it's like an entrepreneurial route you're taking. I think it's so important to identify a mentor who is already achieving those goals that you wish to see. And like, literally, like, just like, teach me, let me write down, like, just drop all the nuggets right here. Let me get them all. I think that's so important because honestly, it's like we're on a fast track. I know, you know, they've already lived through it. They can tell you about the mistakes they made, and we don't have to make those same mistakes. So we're literally able to get to the next step. And it's an investment. It's going to cost probably some financial coins, but it's worth it because, like, in the end, you're grooming yourself to be to seek those goals and to reach those goals that you want to obtain, which I think in the long run, it's worth it. It's really worth it. So mentor. And then the second one is to write down your vision and make it plain. I think it's power in like writing down. I know you can type, but to me, I think like physically writing it, it's like, it's something different about writing that out and seeing it. And I just think like, one, it's like a faith move for you even to like write it down and say like, maybe, you know, I want to see this happen. And for you to write it down and then like look at it, put it somewhere visible or put it in your journal. But I think it makes it that much more attainable and you're able to like see it. And even like when you're not thinking about it, like subconsciously, like it's in your mind, you know what I mean? So I think writing your goals down and things you want to accomplish, and even like looking back at it just to see like how far you've come, I think there's something to that as well. But I think it's important to like write down those goals and keep it in front of you. It helps you. It helped me. I've done it. And then when I'm able to look back and be like, oh my gosh, I can't believe, you know, I've actually hit that milestone. It's pretty powerful to go back and see those accomplishments.
Now, before I ask you what's next, let me just do a disclaimer. I did not pay Shanice to say that. That is, she did it on her own. So if you listening, she was not paid. I have no marketing dollars for that sponsorship, but I appreciate you. I thank you a lot. But you've done the work and you're killing the game. So I'm proud, and I'm just really, really proud. So then, Shanice, what's next for you?
What's next for me? So my goal, and what's always been my goal, is to be a full-time entrepreneur. So hopefully soon, within the next year or so, I can stand on my 2 feet and say, hey, I'm doing it. So that's my goal. That's my ultimate goal.
Well, one thing I say, I love that all of you mentioned something about entrepreneurship, which tickles my fancy. Because, with you, Janet, wanting to speak, and then you, Arnande, wanting to do the courses, and then you, Shanice, want to go full-time in it, I'm here for it. So however I can help y'all, whatever topics y'all want on this show, let's make it happen. But that's it. You all really affirm why I exist, right? To have this random idea a couple of years ago, to have somebody say, well, do a show weekly. I'm like, you crazy. And then to do the show weekly. And then to think, as I've continued to evolve, to have more of an emphasis on life and business. I dare not ever say coach, but I mean, coach, it works. I understand it's a language you understand, but for me, it's just, I see more of like a life walker with you. Like I just made that up. Like, I don't want to say life guide, but just to be on this journey together. But that's why it's so meaningful. So congrats to y'all for that. But I am so grateful that we got to spend some time together in deep, meaningful conversation. And, so we can't go out for wine right now, and do this girls' night thing. But one of these days, I can imagine that we all come together, because I dream to have a function where I pull folks together and let's just get together, have a good time. But y'all have heard how amazing these women are. Just thank you for making the time and coming through in the clutch, to make this happen. Because I have random ideas, and executing them sometimes takes a little longer than I think. But y'all definitely support it. So their social media information will be in the show notes. Make sure you go to those and check those out so you can find them everywhere they are, on LinkedIn, on Instagram, on their website, since they out here doing boss things, checking out their books and getting into their courses. Like, we are a community of people who have talents and skills and things that we can offer to each other, to where you don't have to go looking for it and wondering why you're not getting what you need, because we understand it. And this literally is why I exist. This is why I love what I do. And I'm grateful to all of you. So thank you so much for your time, for your energy, for your story still. And congratulations on everything that you've done and everything you will do. I appreciate y'all.
Thank you. This was really fun.
Thank you. This was great. Thank you.
Thank you.